Over 100,000 people have checked out my free Shadowlands weak aura and UI packages for all the tank specs in the game, and many have asked if I would release them for all the tanks in Dragonflight again. And this video marks the release of my packages for all 6 tank specs in Dragonflight that you have been waiting for, with huge improvements based off my previous work in Shadowlands. For instance, customizing sequences and abilities to track by just dragging and dropping them, and even the number of icons per row, the height, the width can be adjusted with mere sliders. Naturally, I'll keep all of them updated for free of charge, just like in Shadowlands, so if you'd like to support my efforts in maintaining these user interfaces throughout the Dragonflight patches, all I ask of you is to hit the subscribe button on this video. Your subscription to the channel costs nothing, but it will mean the world to me. Moving on, the video will be split into the following parts. The first section covers the design principle of the package, so you understand how this package enhances your World of Warcraft Dragonflight experience. And in the second section, I will give you a quick rundown of all the components of the weak aura packages, which is the core to how you play your tank spec. And in the third section, I will cover how to install my user interface in 3 easy steps. And in the fourth section, I'll teach you how to customize all parts of the user interface, from the height, width of the icons, to the sequence of abilities, the types of abilities and trinkets, all within seconds without breaking the look of the package. And in the fifth section, I'll cover some of the frequently asked questions that I've received in the past 2 years of maintaining UI and weak auras for the World of Warcraft community. And throughout this video, I will cycle through all the footage of the 6 tank specs user interfaces and weak auras in action, so you can get a sense of how each of them look. Let's begin with section 1. The design principle of the package. And I'd like to cover the purpose of my weak auras and user interface first. Like the title of the video suggests, it is meant to be the cleanest and most minimalistic UI you can find for tanks in Dragonflight, being able to show you all the necessary information related to your tank spec in the most compact manner, so you can better enjoy and react to what is happening within the actual encounters and fights itself. And this will go a very long way in helping you become a better player. Because if your user interface is compact and centered near the middle of the screen where most of the action is occurring, you spend less time moving your eyes all over the screen trying to react to procs and juggling your rotations, and at the same time having to dodge mechanics or do mechanics. I also believe that if you have the same layout for your main and your ults, it helps to build muscle memory that makes you a better player. For instance, if you always place your interrupt or your cooldowns on a specific spot on the screen, regardless of which tank spec you're playing, whether you're new or old to it, you instinctively know where to look out for the information you need. Now, what is a clean user interface is also subjective, and this is why the package comes with the tools for you to tailor everything to your exact taste, including the sequence of icons, the number of icons in each row, the height, the width of icons in each row, the tracking of your own new abilities, buffs, and trinkets. All 4 of these customization options I'll be covering in the 4th section of.
Here we have a video card that came in for no power, and this one is the MSI RTX 3090 Trio. Customer mailed over the motherboard like this, and he wants it fixed. Let's read what the customer wrote. GPU had a water block setup. Everything was fine until a couple of days ago when computer would not turn on. Checked out continuity on board and appears to be a short in the main 12-volt rail. Nothing looks damaged or burnt that I can see. So the customer did some measurements and he noticed some short circuit on the board. We do not go by what the customers say. We do our own measurements. But on this board, we have 3 12-volt connectors here. 1, 2, and 3. So he probably measured at the fuse or at the coil or at the 12-volt pin, and he noticed a short. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. And if indeed we do have a short. Let's start with the first connector right here. Meter in continuity mode. Our 12-volt line or pin should be this one here.
Victory
on this video card.
Lies ahead. Hold
Sometimes
your head
it's
high.
this one, but the notch on this connector is from the back, so the 12-volt pin is this one. I'm reading 455 ohms, so we do not have a short here, and we're gonna get the same reading if we measure here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or here. Okay, 455 ohms. We don't have a short. If we jump over to our second connector and we measure at the 12-volt pin 436 ohms. Same here, and that tells us that our fuse is good because we are reading the same on here and here. And of course, we're gonna get the same reading on the current sense resistor and at the coil, 437 ohms. And now if we measure at the third connector, and we do have a short. The customer is right. We do have a short. Short here, a short here, and of course at our current sense and coil, inductor. We have a short. Let me just do a quick visual inspection. Right now, honestly, we do not need to check anything else because if we do not have 12 volts, we're not going to have 5 volts, we're not going to have 1.8 volts, we're not going to have VMAN, VCore, so on and so forth. So it does not make sense to troubleshoot anything else on the board right now if we do not fix the 12 volt line first. But just a quick visual inspection, since the customer mentioned water block, I just want to see if there is any sign of corrosion or liquid on the board. And I think this is just thermal paste. I think. Yeah, it looks like thermal paste. And our problem may very well be one of those DR MOSFETs. We have some on the right and some on the left. We're gonna have to find out. So I do not see any signs of liquid on the board. Water block does not mean liquid damage, but still, just a quick visual inspection. You see how we have more DR MOS chips on the left, and the short may be one of them, left or right. And if we go down to our PCIe slot, let me just do quick measurements here. Our 12 volt slot rail, 467 ohms, good. And then we're gonna measure our 3.3 volts. We have 485 ohms. Right now what I'm going to do is inject voltage at our shorted line here, whether it's at the current sense resistor or coil or the 12 volt pin or the fuse. Anywhere I inject voltage is good. And we're gonna monitor the board under a thermal camera and see what gets hot. Hopefully we can pinpoint where the short is coming from. We are dealing with a very thick board, so heat may be very minimal. We have to keep our eyes open while looking at the thermal camera and try to see what is getting hot on the board, even if it's just a tiny minimal heat. And I've done this before where I showed you how heat was very minimal on one of the components. And if you do not have trained eyes, you're not going to be able to see it. I'm going to do 1.5 volts. Usually I start with 1.2, but for this one I'm going to do 1.5. It's a thick board. And let me grab the thermal camera. Right now we have our MOSFETs here, the line of MOSFETs. And we have another line of MOSFETs right over here. And basically we should be able to see the whole board by going back and forth. It's a big board. Our connectors are here, 1, 2, 3. The short is coming from here. Okay, so right now I injected 1.5 volts and the meter is drawing 2.3 amps. And look at this. Short is coming from the last MOSFET. See? When I inject voltage, the MOSFET right over here. Let's go under the microscope. And it's this one right here. And that's the last MOSFET on the bottom. So that's most likely what is causing the short. And thank you very much, thermal camera. So let's go ahead and desolder the MOSFET. And right now we have to be careful because we have aluminum capacitors right here, right next to the MOSFET. And a lot of heat here can make this capacitor pop or blow. I have this heatsink here with a thermal pad under it. So I'm gonna put it over the caps just to be on the safe side, and I'm gonna use my goggles in case something popped. We're gonna have to expose this MOSFET to a lot of heat to desolder it. The board is thick, and solder on this MOSFET will only liquefy when the board itself reaches melting temperature. I'm at 500 degrees Celsius, and airspeed is at max. All right, out. Great. Let's wait until the board cools down a bit, and then we're gonna measure again. Let's see if we still have a short. In the meantime, why don't we prep the pads? We're gonna have to prep the pads anyway. Whether that's the cause of the short or not, we're gonna have to solder that MOSFET back or replace the MOSFET. So it's a good idea to do it now because the board is still hot and solder will flow a lot easier. We're gonna measure at the third connector here, or at the fuse, or at the current sense resistor, or at the inductor. Any one of them will do. Meter in continuity mode, and we still have a short. And the short is gone. We are now reading 387 ohms. If we go to diode mode, and we measure here, 0.39 voltage drop, 0.39, 0.39, 0.39. Perfect. The short is gone. So the thermal camera was accurate on where the short was coming from. That's amazing. Let's go ahead and solder a replacement MOSFET. We're gonna put the heatsink right over the caps here, right here. Right, now we're gonna press and hold. Just like that. Awesome. And now we're gonna desolder the access from the sides here. We did an amazing job. All right, we're done. All we have to do is try out the video card and hope for the best. And one more connector. All right, so we have all three cables plugged in, all three connectors, and I have the HDMI cable plugged in also, since I'm optimistic that this may actually work, but we're gonna have to find out. So let's go ahead and turn on the power supply. Okay, are we gonna see any lights on back of the card? Yeah, we do see lights at the back of the card. We're gonna have to see if the board, oh, chirping. The board chirped. When I say chirped, multiple beeps all at once. That's an indication that we may have bad memory or faulty GPU. Let's go ahead and measure our rails. We're gonna start with 12 volts. Meter in voltage mode. And we're gonna put our ground probe right here. And get a cup of coffee and start measuring, right? We have 12 volts at the first connector. We have 12 volts at the second connector. And the third one, we had a short, we replaced the MOSFET, and now we do have 12 volts on the third connector. If we check our 5-volt line, we should have two of them. I have not worked on the TRIA card before, but looking at the board, I believe this is a 5-volt line right here. And we do have 5 volts. And there's a coil on the bottom, 5 volts. So we do have two 5-volt rails here present, three 12-volt rails present. And if we check the PCIe 12 volts rail right down on the bottom left, we do have 12 volts. What else? 1.8 volts could be this, or I do not know what this one is on the top. Let me measure it. 0 volts. And we have one on the bottom. Oh, 1.8 volts. So the coil on the bottom is 1.8 volts present. What if we measure our memory? Memory should be this one on the top, the first coil on the top, and memory is showing up as 0 volts. 0 volts. V-core will be 0, of course, right here. So we are missing memory and, of course, V-core. And GPU is not hot. GPU is cold.
He must fend them off before they wreak havoc.
Let me turn off the power supply and turn back on. The GPU is burning hot. So it's getting hot and then it shuts itself down, probably because we do not have a heatsink on. So if we measure memory now, VMAM, 0. What if we turn the power supply off, then turn it back on and see if we get memory at any point in time? Right there, 1.3. Memory 1.3, and then it goes down to 0. So it's coming on for a split second, then look at this, we get 6 beeps now, and not a chirp. Memory came on for a split second, 1.3 volts, and then it went back to 0. And now we got 6 beeps, which means there's something wrong with the card. We did not get that chirp. I believe we may have a problem with memory or possibly the GPU. Let me measure resistance on memory, power supply off, and I'm gonna measure resistance on memory. If resistance is short to ground or very low resistance, we may have a bad GPU. So resistance, look at this. 0 ohms. 0.3, but I know the meter is 0.3 ohms off. So 0.3 means 0 ohms. 0 ohm reading. So a dead short on memory is likely a GPU, a bad GPU. There's a 90% chance a 0 ohm resistance on memory is a dead GPU. I was hoping to save this card. I was honestly hoping to save this card. We do have all 12 volt lines. We have both 5 volt lines. We have 1.8 volts, but memory is measuring 0 ohm resistance. That's short. Let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. And I'm gonna end the video right here. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and we'll do something else in the next video. Here we're gonna be working on a Nintendo Switch motherboard. We actually have 3 of them on my bench here, but I picked the one that looks the best. Maybe we can do this one quick. the console does power on and you're able to use it, but it does not charge. 0 amps being drawn when we try to charge this console. So we're gonna check a couple of things to see why this console does not charge. Meter in diode mode. And
My goods
we can start
are
with this
exquisite.
guy here. Reading good.
You best be
We
prepared.
can start testing
Keep
the
a cool
caps
head.
for the M92, no shorts. We can test this guy here, and this one can go bad because of the M92 or because of the P13 chip that sits on back of the board.
Ahoy!
And what about this one?
Smooth sailing.
So we do not have a short anywhere.
Good day to you. Keep
on the
wind
M92.
in yourselves. Safe passage to
And
you.
if we go over the BQ chip, do we have any shorts here?
Keep the wind in yourselves.
None. So we're gonna assume that the BQ is good, and also our M92 chip is good. Just quick physical inspection without spending too much time. And as you can see, the board looks excellent. It's in excellent condition and it was not tampered with before. Front of the board is intact. And if we look on back of the board, we do not see anything unusual. Someone in the comments will mention this dot. It's nothing.
Hi there. Bye-bye.
Right, so excellent. The board is in excellent condition. So what is causing the no charge? Right now, the biggest suspect is the USB.
Hey, what up, caller? Hey, Wolfie. Can one of you guys try to follow my account? I want to check if my
Joradin continue to threaten our position here.
if my alerts work.
Dragonflight welcomes your help in repelling these attackers. Though I have been perhaps difficult at times, we've always worked together. I am sure you will continue to support my efforts for the betterment of Azeroth. With this key, we can breach the barrier within the vault and rid it of the infestations that have grown there.
I've been keeping an eye out. Come then. Let us see.
Tell me if you followed my account, by the way, guys. Just so I know if it works or not. And I don't know, having PvP on is fine, but it sucks when you're a moon. Will I get credit even though it's gray? Actually don't know, dude. Dude, I didn't get the kill.
Oi. That's enough gabbing for me today.
The aspects have returned. Welcome to the Dragon Isles.
Well, I think I bring feminine inspiration to the table. Like Kelly Rowland say, I'm gonna be your motivation. When you come home, I'm gonna be in lingerie. I'm gonna keep it nice and fresh and waxed for you. I'm gonna cook your food.
Oh,
You just gotta bring home the bacon. That's
Oh,
it.
shit.
I don't ask for a lot.
Okay. I mean, okay, hold on.
See, I got CEO.
Yeah.
I got you, right?
God damn.
He's
got you on that regular
interested.
shit?
Hold on.
He's interested. Yeah, Chris.
Hold on.
That's crazy.
It ain't
So,
regular. That's
fresh.
what men want.
I want to
though.
know, right?
Who want that?
So,
Chris?
Mr. Organic is a
Okay.
high value guy, right?
Right.
I want to know from you, brother. What do you look for in a woman? So you heard all these answers, right? What do you look for?
I mean, yeah, like, of course, most of them is gonna stand on they pretty, they gonna fuck you and all that. Come home, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, man. Like, we get that dime a dozen. Like, a nigga got bread, nigga. I'm 6'6", 230. I'm smooth. Even without the money, I had every woman I ever wanted. So, like, just because you're gonna be at my home when I come there cooking, I don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? I never needed it. You know what I'm saying? I need a girl that's gonna understand what I go through, who gonna keep a motherfucker on top of his toes, that's gonna push him and motivate him. You know what I mean? That's also gonna come with some ideas. You know what I mean? Give me creative criticism on my grind. You know what I mean? Also add to the table. You know what I mean? Not just trying to grab some food every time it's filled up. You know what I mean? You gotta bring something to this table. Like, fucking pussy is over with after a certain time. Like, I could fuck any bitch I ever wanted in my life. I always have. That's not appealing to me no more. You know what I mean? Once you get money and once you was already having that, you gotta bring more. Your energy gotta be right. Your mind gotta be right. That body don't mean nothing after a while. You know what I'm saying? A nigga will fuck anything, man. So, like, you could be the baddest bitch in the world. That's fine. Nigga gonna have you, and I'm gonna fuck a bitch, motherfucker, a 2 and a 3. A nigga will do that.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z had Beyonce, he still fuck some other pussy. How can you beat that? Because he would just want some new pussy on his cock. So that ain't nothing, man. It's your energy, it's your mind, what you bringing to help me grow. That was gonna help us grow. That what counts.
Yeah, preach, brother.
Yeah.
Preach.
But a bad bitch brings inspiration
Nah,
that you
not
will
to
not
no
get.
real nigga that already had
Yeah.
that. If you got a fat, lame, rich nigga that need all that, I just want a bad bitch, that nigga, he's a square. He's a nobody.
Yeah.
But a nigga that been sufficient his whole life and got every girl he wanted, what is a bad bitch doing for me? That's nothing. We always had that. What you bringing more than just being it's a million bad bitches walking this earth. That's the cheapest and most easiest thing to get for a nigga got some money is a bitch and some pussy.
Bam.
You go to, like I said, you go to Brazil right now, it's gonna be a 10,000 bad bitch you ever seen in your life. You get them bitches $1 and a coffee, and that bitch gonna lick your feet, man. That ain't work. That's worthless to a real nigga, man.
Right.
You gotta be a fat, slow brain, regular ass nigga that finally got some money to be imposed. And I got a bad bitch. Like, come on, man. Like, that's a different type of breed of human that they rocks off to that. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Y'all get your money now. Go get all them niggas. But a nigga like me, that shit is like it's nothing. You know what I mean? Our energies got to be connected. You know what I'm saying? We gotta grow together. That's the most important.
So
thing.
you'll take a basic bitch that is somebody that you want to talk to over a bad bitch that will inspire you.
So you consider yourself a bad bitch?
No, yeah, I do actually.
So you above basic. Well, you don't even work. You don't have no attributes to the table here. Like, what
I
are
do
we
have
talking about?
attributes.
Like what?
I inspire my men.
How? You don't got no job. What's your education?
Listen,
what's your master's
but you
degree
have
in?
but you have to realize that when men make it to a certain level,
Right.
they're not checking for a woman's education.
They're not?
When you're making millions of dollars, you don't care about a woman's education.
Yes, you do.
Talk to
I
plenty
do.
of rich men.
I do. I'm a rich man. I got an estate in Malibu. Okay,
An
2
estate?
acres. Yes.
Oh, I
2
would like
acres.
to see the paperwork.
Okay, we can show you paperwork.
Go ahead and show me the
paperwork to-
title.
we gotta show paperwork to somebody that got no paper.
Miseducated.
That would make no sense.
Show me,
This
show
ain't
me,
got
pull
no
up
paper
that
telling us
deed.
some paperwork.
Can he
Pull
pull
up
up
a
the
deed.
deed?
Can you
You
pull up
don't
your
even know
car?
what a
Can you
deed
pull up a
is.
vehicle?
You don't even know what a deed is because you
What
ain't
deed
got
you
it.
got? What deed you got?
A deed to these.
Come on, man. You got a little residue underneath your nose,
Man,
baby.
he's
So, I don't
certified.
do that.
He's
You know what I'm saying?
certified.
But I get what you're
I
saying.
get what you're saying, though.
Is she
Yeah.
fucking with loser, fat, old niggas got money? I get it.
Nah,
Don't play with
negative.
them.
But seriously,
There's
when
no
you
way you
reach a
got
certain
nobody
level,
efficient
when
around
you
you.
reach a certain level, you don't care if that girl works as a bottle girl. You don't care if this
It
girl
don't
has
matter.
a job.
We
Like
didn't
you
say
don't
that.
care.
We gotta have somebody that got some
you
smarts,
already,
though.
because you
We can tell
already,
you ain't got no
you've
smarts.
already
Like, we
made
need
it to a
somebody with
certain
some
level.
brain. It ain't about just want to suck my dick all the time.
The energy needs to
Damn.
be matched.
We need,
is what
yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah, it's bigger than
But you're
just.
saying because she doesn't have a job or work,
It don't
she
matter.
can't match your energy?
It don't matter. I'm talking about you personally on the
But you don't know me
terms.
personally.
I could tell you ain't got no brain.
Honey, I worked in corporate finance.
You
What are you
did?
talking?
So
yes,
why are you not
baby.
employed now?
Because I don't want to be.
So you want to be a slave to a man with some money?
I want to. No, honey. I want to be an inspiration with someone
How?
to some money.
How you going to inspire him? Please explain that.
Baby, I just told you. Obviously, you weren't listening.
I'm listening quite fine. I see you coming in lingerie, but
No,
you
you
put your
wasn't
lingerie,
listening
ain't
though.
gonna do
Like,
nothing for a
you
nigga.
wasn't listening.
Okay, I got you. I won't listen to you.
This is awesome.
Talk to me.
This better be worth my time.
A shirt with a graphic of me and you engaged in a French kiss would be a great visual.
That is just horrible.
No, yeah, I don't want to do it either, but the image would be provocative, powerful stuff. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world, and today I find myself reconvening with a man who was here a half hour early. Aaron Carter.
What's up?
How do you do?
How do you do that?
I do well. I'm doing fairly well.
Same.
How about you?
I'm good. I'm very good, yeah.
I just want to throw something out here. I was just listening to a podcast, you know, because we can talk about whatever at this point, and we can dive more into your personal life and whatnot. But I was just listening to this podcast with Stephen Pressfield, who's an author I'm a big fan of, and Tim Ferriss was interviewing him. And they were discussing this theory that I found very interesting and worth discussing, which is that when you wake up in the morning, the directive, the thing that you're trying to do before you start to be creative or get into your stuff that you want to do for that day, is you're trying to create a succession of little successes, in the sense of, like,
of course, yeah, it takes the little things to build the big things.
You brush your teeth. Okay, you got that done.
Right,
That was easy. You do that every day. You go for your little morning.
It's an ordinance.
Morning workout.
Yeah, it's an ordinance.
Get that done.
Yeah.
You make breakfast. You get that done. And then as you build all those up, then finally you've gotten to the point where you're ready to get in the studio, to answer to write something.
That's interesting. Yeah, because that's pretty much what I'm doing at this point.
Okay, what is your creative discipline that you're trying to work towards every day?
Well, first and foremost, just trying to get my mind right, my soul right. So just, I see a psychiatrist who's incredible. I've been working with him for about over a year now.
Really?
Yeah, and
full disclosure, I've been in therapy for about a year too.
Well, I mean, you know me. I'm full disclosure.
Yeah.
So like, I've been going to this psychiatrist, this therapist, and seeing him, and yes, I'm prescribed to, like, Xanax and gabapentin and hydroxyzine and propranolol, high blood pressure medication, all these things, and I'm not afraid to talk about that. I'm not afraid,